All right, our senior reporter Ziyanda Ngcobo is tracking that story for us, Ziyanda. So, in extension, what was the reason given for why this extension is needed?
So in his letter to the Speaker of Parliament, Justice Sandile Ngcobo basically said that looking at the scope of the work, the complexity and the available resources, they would need more time then to deliberate on this report. And, you know, in the third paragraph of the letter, he also says that they're making the request mindful of the anxiety regarding this issue. And of course, you'll know that because Parliament's fourth term is ending in early December, it means then that by the time that report is handed over to the Speaker, it cannot be tabled before Parliament at least this year. And so the EFF is saying that there's been collusion of some sort between the Speaker and the head of the panel, Sandile Ngcobo, to say that, well, kicking the can further down the road so that President Cyril Ramaphosa basically, you know, has an easy ride into that 55th National Conference.
At this point, is there any reason to doubt the credibility or the bona fides of this panel?
Not at this point. I mean, obviously, the political opposition parties will be making lots of noise about it, just simply because, you know, they would have expected that it would be tabled tomorrow and that it can be made public. As you would have heard the UDM leader saying that he wants this at the same time, once it's handed over to the Speaker, to simultaneously be made public. And because of the public interest, perhaps there's an argument there. But in terms of the legitimacy, at this stage, there's no evidence to say that the credibility of this report can be brought into disrepute at this particular point in time.
When we look at the issue of when Parliament's term is going to end, there's of course the electoral amendment bill that is currently being deliberated, and the Home Affairs Committee has said that that needs to go back to the NCOP. So we're likely looking at a potential extension to accommodate the changes to the electoral amendment bill. Is there a likelihood that that extension of Parliament's term potentially in December this year could then provide an opportunity for this report to still be tabled?
I think if a motion is brought soon enough, there is a possibility to do that if they're doing that for the electoral amendment bill, but it would also depend on the capacity of the work and what the report actually says. So if the report says, you know, that there is prima facie evidence then that the President needs to answer for, maybe that could possibly change the dynamic of what happens here. It would also likely rest with the Speaker of the House as to whether or not she believes then the matter is important enough to actually extend then the work of Parliament at this point in time.
I imagine the likes of the ATM also would do everything possible to try and ensure it's tabled before the end of the year.
It likely, I mean, the report is due on the 30th of November, so practically speaking, that leaves very little time to actually hand over the report, table it, and then, you know, set a new date for a debate to take place. Remembering, Kathy, that this report is, even if you look at what the panel is looking at now, they're looking into whether there's been any serious violation of the Constitution or the law, any serious misconduct, or the inability of the President to perform the functions of office. So, you know, that is quite a wide scope to be looking into, bearing in mind as well that law enforcement agencies also haven't concluded their report. We also haven't heard anything from the Public Protector's Office. So in terms of the information that's currently available to actually assess, that is what this is likely to hinge on.
All right. So his political detractors, of course, are saying all this does is buy him more time, ensures a smoother ride in December. Your take?
Well, I mean, I can't have a take, but certainly his detractors are saying, well, now it basically paves the way for the President to have a smooth ride going into that 55th National Conference, because again, yes, he might have taken the NEC into his confidence for the first time this past weekend, unless he is formally charged. For instance, the step-aside guidelines in their current form don't apply to President Ramaphosa, so he wouldn't be disqualified going into that conference. If we look at this parliamentary process, if they don't have that debate before the fourth term ends, it's likely to only happen even after the State of the Nation address. And there's no telling whether the Integrity Commission would have completed its report, because that is what would likely disqualify the President if that ANC Integrity Commission finds against him.
All right. Ziyanda Ngcobo, we'll leave it there for tonight.